The mist clears from around your feet, feeling still wobbly after having stepped through the portal, your senses in disarray. You try to make out where exactly you are. It's dark, and distant thunder rumbles ominously. Looking up, you notice not a single star lighting the midnight sky. The moon is a sliver at an odd angle and peeking out from between the layers of clouds, like a pale smile that knows something you don't. Then you hear the giggling. Leveling your eyesight again, you now spot the trees all around you, tropical ones, with shapes darting between them.
I call out, "Who's there? Show yourselves!" I grab my flashlight and shine it in the direction of the giggling.
You think you saw some stunted, skinny figures duck away in behind the nearby bushes. Perhaps a flash of green and lots of crooked teeth?
Goblins? Elves? What are they? I peer closer.
That's when your flashlight flickers and goes out as if all the life was drained from it. The giggling starts up again, and in between rumbles of thunder and the wind picking up, you could have sworn the bushes were rustling more than normal under the circumstances.
That's not good. Can I see anything at all? Surely, even a waxing moon should provide some light.
Good point. Make a skill check.
How do I do that?
Roll a d12.
It's a 5.
Yeah! It's like peering into the forest of fast-moving shadows with a black shroud over your eyes. The noises increase, though. Something has definitely come closer.
Wait a minute. I have my manifestation meniscus. It shows the elemental world in its purest form. Can I try that?
Sure. Roll again with a +5 bonus.
Yes! I rolled a 9.
So, that'd be 9 plus 5 is 14. Yeah, that should definitely do it. The world snaps into color, the greens and browns of the beach around you and the forest in front of you. Everything is still a bit paler than normal, except for the 3 pieces of warped furniture hobbling towards you. It looks like painted wooden Thai furniture, only animated and warped as if possessed by spirits.
Animated furniture? Spirits? Oh wait, are these Dakubi?
The Dakubi slow down a little as you focus your eyesight on them, as if now aware that you can see them. The thunder has died down a little, as has their laughter, but they are still advancing. What do you do?
I don't know anything about these creatures, except that I think they're Korean, yet they look to have inhabited Thai furniture. Wait, does this mean the portal transported me to a Thai island? So many questions.
The Dakubi are now standing in front of you, no longer giggling, but looking at you curiously, as if waiting for something to happen.
Well, what can I do? I mean, how do I talk to them? Shout at them so I scare them away, or ask them kindly to let me pass?
As if detecting your hesitation, the 3 spirits detach themselves from the possessed wooden furniture, their shimmering ghostly forms bright and distinctively outlined because you're still looking at them through your magical lens, your manifestation meniscus.
What do they look like?
One is frail and less bright compared to the others, almost like a dark color of amber folk. The other 2 are younger spirits, fresh, bright, like the pearl folk, one male and one female.
So, do I continue to talk to them? Or do I now use the inner compass?
Okay, let's break here for a second. Aelemental Zine-O-phobia is both a role-playing game for those who enjoy storytelling.
Right. People who want to roleplay the encounters between people, finding ways to resolve conflict through back and forth, logical arguments, or impassioned speeches. The improv acting, if you will.
For those who can't because they're by themselves or just enjoy reading a story and rolling some dice.
There's the roll and write game. So how does that work?
Well, first of all, everyone gets an inner compass. This is a diamond-shaped field of dots that represents a simplified personality matrix that motivates our explorers.
I see brave and rational from top to bottom, and engaging and guarded going from left to right, and then a bunch of traits like influential and protective, contemplative, and attentive, in between the others as well. These all relate to interpersonal encounters.
Correct. At the start, when creating a character, players get to choose one of the 4 starting positions near the center, which most resembles their own personality. So for myself, I'd place my maybe here between attentive and contemplative, More towards rational than brave.
Sounds about right.
Hey!
Just kidding. So, now when you encounter someone in the adventure, they too have a place on the inner compass. The navigator has a little diagram on the character showing where they are. So, for example, all 3 of our Dokubi spirits actually are located right between engaging and brave.
Yep. So if I were to engage with them, the degrees of separation, or DOS, is 3 with the nearest one, 4 with the middle one, and 5 with the furthest one.
Representing how close or far removed they are from your personality.
That's right. So if I want to convince them to let me pass, then, per default, the one closest to me would be the easiest to approach, as its personality is closest to mine.
But how would you know that? They're strangers. You can't tell whether they're more engaging than brave. I mean, beyond one of them appearing to be so, perhaps by edging closer to you than the others?
True, but we're only halfway. Now is where triggers come into play.
Yes. Those are the words that create positive or negative bias and are listed on your passport sheet. They are specific words that when you hear or read them in the description of your opponent, trigger an instinctive response in your explorer that might have them retreat into a more extreme reaction, digging themselves in emotionally, or the opposite, see someone they feel safer around because of the way they look or appear to be.
Right. So with the Dokubi, this one was frail and a dark color. This one was fresh and bright and male. And the last one was fresh and bright and female.
Interesting. Now what does your passport say with regards to these triggers?
Positive towards frail and female because I was raised by mom and I love to hang around old folks. Negative towards fanatics, the selfish and light because corporations caused us to live in poverty. The local priest was a grump who always looked down on us, and I was pestered at school by self-righteous kids who later turned out to become white, elitist snobs with fancy jobs.
I assume you're talking about your character.
Of course! It makes for a much more interesting and flawed character to play with than if I wrote down my boring background. But any player can, if they want, to insert some or all of their own personality into their character if they want. It's up to them.
Okay, so breaking down the positive and negative stances you have towards these 3 spirits, who would you address? You can only choose one.
Let's see. Only frail, female, and light come into play here. The one furthest away may be female, which makes me feel more at ease, but she's also light, so that cancels out my feelings of approaching her with ease. Doesn't help that she's much braver than I care for.
What about the next one?
Well, he's not as brave, but also light, so that doesn't help. The one closest to me is actually the most likely one for me to talk to, as she...
You don't know. Maybe trans or non-binary.
Right, but because I feel neither good or bad about that, it doesn't matter. What does is that the Dokubi is old, and that is a good thing. I can move one space closer to that Dokubi, signaling both me physically approaching, as well as growing towards their personality.
You definitely approach that one most likely. It also helps that they're the closest to you.
Yes, the moving closer or further away, depending on your triggers, is a direct result of the encounter. It symbolizes in a very simplistic way how we're likely to shift in personality, even momentarily, based on interacting with folks towards which we have a bias.
So, then, you are now done with this inner compass playing out the conversation?
No, there's still the matter of respect.
Ah, right. Respect. That's when you use your respect points to counter a negative trigger or move closer to an opponent. Basically, you're trying to get your DOS as low as possible.
Yep. The lower the DOS, the better the outcome is. I'll throw in 1 respect, because in order to get respect points back after the encounter, you always have to pay at least 1 respect.
You got to pay respect to earn respect. Nice.
Now all that's left is the final coin toss, because the Dokubi could still decide to turn tail or face me head to head.
Oh, well, that didn't prove fruitful. Maybe the Dokubi is as wary of your analogies as I am. You lost what little respect you spent, but that's okay. You're close enough to... What does the table say?
That's the domain of the navigator. No, it's okay if you're playing solo to read all the stats of the Dokubi and results of the encounter off the table. In fact, that's why we designed it this way, right?
Absolutely. We wanted to give everyone a chance to experience conflict resolution, either through live roleplay or throwing some dice and using strategy to talk their way out of some nasty situations.
Talking about Shall we head back to your explorer and see how well she's faring against our giggling spirits?
Let's do it.